11 Fun Things to Do in Dinant. The small town of Dinant is quite picturesque and one that you will fall in love with as soon as you see it. There is no doubt, because Dinant is considered Belgium's hidden gem. It has a ridiculous amount of charm, history, and fairy tale-like qualities. If you are up for some fun, there are several things to do in Dinant that make for a memorable trip. Although it can be viewed in a day, I highly recommend spending 2 days in this charming city to really appreciate its captivating and distinct charm. Dinant is an ideal weekend escape, particularly for visitors from Belgium, France, and Germany. 1. Charles De Gaulle Bridge. When you arrive in Dinant, one of the first things you should do is stroll across the Charles De Gaulle Bridge, widely known as the Saxophone Bridge. It's possibly one of the most unusual and enjoyable bridges I've ever seen. It is, after all, lined with many life-size saxophone sculptures that were added in 2010. In a vibrant and beautiful approach, the saxophone is a proud reminder of the instrument's birthplace. On either side of the bridge, along the coastline, and in town, there is a saxophone representing each European Union nation. The Charles de Gaulle Bridge sits in the heart of Dinant and serves as a key link between the two banks of the Meuse River. The views of the city are stunning from the bridge, which provides an ideal vantage point from which to observe several attractions. Each saxophone represents a European Union nation. In recognition of his leadership in the French resistance against Nazi Germany during World War II, the bridge is named after Charles de Gaulle, the French commander. The French played a crucial role in resisting the Germans in and around Dinant. If you're wondering where else you've heard his name, it's probably from the French airport Charles de Gaulle. 2. Citadel of Dinant. The magnificent and formidable Citadel of Dinant towers high over the town of Dinant. It's one of the first things you'll notice when you arrive, since it's perched on a massive granite face. It's ideal if you need a vantage point to observe any dangers coming from afar. The fortress was initially erected in 1040, but the one you see today was built in 1815 due to destruction and deterioration throughout time. In the early 1900s, there was a lot of damage that needed to be repaired. There are 3 routes to go to the top of the citadel to explore the museum and take in the beautiful views. To get to the peak, you may walk the 408 stairs, use the cable car, or drive. Taking the stairs is a wonderful exercise if you're in decent shape. The cable cars may only be open on weekends during the off-season. You will be handed a brochure to enjoy a self-guided tour of the fortress grounds and museum after you reach the top. There are 9 areas of focus, including a full explanation of the citadel's intriguing history and significance. The citadel will take around 45 minutes to an hour to see. A guided tour is also available during the summer months. The view of the Meuse River and the town of Dinant is the 4th stop on the self-guided trip. It may be Belgium's most stunning view. It's also windy at the top, so hold on to your hats and sunglasses. 3. Notre Dame de Dinant Cathedral. The cathedral is pressed up against a rock wall, with the citadel perched above it, and the initial impression is wow. Your mouth will drop in both delighted enjoyment and astonishment if you're anything like me. Even though it is a church, it has a very gloomy and even scary look about it, although it's very beautiful. With its dark outside and black bulbous-shaped bell tower, it is without a doubt one of the most stunning and imposing Gothic cathedrals I have seen. The Notre Dame of Dinant, also known as the Collegiate Church of Our Lady, is a 13th-century Catholic church situated on the banks of the Meuse River. The cathedral can always be seen in the skyline of Dinant, no matter where you are. It is the town's recognizable symbol. Once inside, look at the incredible heights of the ceilings and towers, which will leave you awestruck. If the builders wanted to create something spectacular and memorable, they succeeded. Take note of the intricately crafted stained glass, particularly the largest one near the altar on the right side of the building. I'm not sure I've ever seen a stained glass window that large. The craftsmanship that went into crafting it is truly remarkable. 4. Maison Leffe. If you like beer and you've tasted a Belgian beer, chances are it was Leffe. Although it is now exported to countries all over the world, Leffe originated in the little town of Dinant. What's more astonishing is that the first batch of Leffe was brewed in 1240 by monks from the Leffe Abbey. When you scan the barcode on the inside, you'll have access to Leffe's history and information. I was surprised to realize how long Leffe had been brewed. Monks brewed and drank beer daily, which may surprise you, but they were quite savvy about it. That's because at the time, drinking beer has been far safer than drinking water. They didn't understand why at the time, but they knew it wasn't going to kill them. In contrary to water, heating the beer eliminated any germs. If only they'd known that boiling liquids destroyed any potentially hazardous microorganisms. Until 1952, when the Abbey beer turned commercial, the monks were the masters of making Leffe beer. Leffe was bought by Ab InBev and is now made in the Stella Artois brewery in Leuven, Belgium. When you enter the Leffe Museum, you'll find a classically exquisite bar area where you can relax and taste a selection of Leffe beers. You enter what used to be the chapel of Bethlehem's prior convent across the hall, now La Merveilleuse Hotel. It's an ideal location for learning about and tasting Leffe beer. You will go through 8 centuries of Leffe beer history as you stroll through the museum. Scanning the barcode provided allows you to pick from a variety of touch displays at your own speed. Learn about the process of creating beer and the many processes and things that go into it. Taste a variety of Leffe beers at the end of your excursion to pick which one is your favorite. 5. Birth of the saxophone. Maison Sax. I had no clue that Dinant was the origin of the saxophone until I started planning my vacation there. Adolphe Sax created the saxophone in 1841 and patented it in 1846, bringing the saxophone's magnificent sound to the rest of the world. His creation changed the face of music forever, especially in the United States, where it had a huge presence, particularly in jazz. If only he could see the outcome of his work. His father was a craftsman of wind and brass instruments, so you might say music was in his blood. To increase the tone of the bass clarinet, he built his saxophone idea on it. He spent much of his career defending himself in court and fighting fraudsters who tried to counterfeit his patent. Regrettably, he was involved in multiple court battles to safeguard his invention until his death in 1894. In Dinant, you may visit a museum dedicated to Adolphe Sax's saxophone, which is kept in the same building where he was born and raised. The Maison Sax Museum is located on the ground level of his former house and is open to the public. You can't miss Maison Sax since there's a statue of him seated on a bench in front of him. Take a break and join him in his seat. Although the museum is tiny, it is jam-packed with facts and history about Adolphe Sax and his saxophone. 6. Stroll along the Meuse River. The Meuse River runs through Dinant, and this is where town comes to life. It's also the busiest part of town, with plenty to see. I suggest taking a walk along both sides of the Meuse River to get several perspectives. Even though both views are spectacular, the view from the site opposite the Citadel and church is more phenomenal. It is also Dinant's most photographed site. The castle, cathedral, colorful buildings at the edge of the cliff, and, of course, the river can all be seen. Aside from the gorgeous scenery, it's a terrific area to walk and get those steps done. If you travel in December, you'll notice Christmas market stalls lining the Meuse River. Unfortunately, because it is off-season, the Christmas market is only open on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. One of my favorite things to do in Dinant is walk along the waterfront, which boasts one of the most beautiful views in every way. 7. Play at Casino de Dinant. Interested in spending your money and winning a little cash? Then go to the Grand Casino of Dinant. Who would have guessed that this small Belgian hamlet would have its own casino? Over 200 slot machines and table games such as blackjack and roulette are available at the casino. Unfortunately, poker is not available, but the slot machines are open 24 hours a day if gambling is your thing. Table games are offered every day from 3 p.m. until 4 a.m. Visitors must be at least 21 years old, and there is no formal attire necessary. 8. Take a boat cruise. Take to the water and view the Meuse River by boat now that you've walked along its picturesque banks. The bulk of the boat trips run from May to September, so if you're visiting Dinant outside of that season, be sure to check for tour availability ahead of time. A 45-minute tour and a 2-hour tour, both round trips, are the 2 primary boat cruise tour options. The 45-minute boat trip from Dinant to Anserem will give you the opportunity to admire the Anserem Priory. The 2-hour boat excursion will take you from Dinant to Frères, with a stop at Frères Castle along the way. However, if the weather is nice and you want to get some exercise, you may kayak on the neighboring Lesse River. Tours are available in 12 kilometers, 3 hours, and 21 kilometers, 5 hours, durations. 9. Try a Coq de Dinant. Have you ever heard of a Coq de Dinant? I know I sure hadn't but was intrigued to see what the hype is all about. What is it exactly? Well, it is a rather hard biscuit that is sweet. For my fellow Americans, a biscuit is a similar word used for a hard cookie. First and foremost, do not bite into a Coq de Dinant, no matter how tempting it may appear. They're quite hard, and it's not a stretch to say you might chip a tooth on them. The best way to eat them is to break off a little piece, place it in your mouth, and allow the saliva in your mouth to soften it up. Then it's time for the magic to happen. Coque de Dinant is a basic biscuit prepared with only 2 ingredients, equal amounts of wheat flour and honey. That is it. There is no need of water, yeast, eggs, or sugar. Dinant has been making these biscuits or cookies since the Middle Ages and is well known for them. A pinch of sugar or baking powder may be used in more modern recipes. The biscuits are shaped into a variety of animal, fruit, and other forms. Depending on how hungry you are, you may have them in small, medium, or giant sizes. Patisserie V. Collard and Solbrun in Dinant are 2 excellent places to buy a Coque de Dinant. 10. Grotte La Merveilleuse. The most beautiful caves in Belgium are just a short distance from the Dinant train station and La Merveilleuse Hotel. The town itself, as well as its underground, could not be more gorgeous. They are beautiful to see and explore, as their name suggests. Beautiful stalagmites may be seen in the limestone caverns, rock formations on the ground from the dripping. Stalactites, on the other hand, are found throughout the caves, dripping from the cave ceilings. The journey will take you through 3 different areas or rooms. 11. Visit a nearby chateau. Near Dinant, there are several fairy tale-like castles to explore that will make you feel like a prince or princess. A car is the most convenient way to travel around and reach most of these. However, you may hire a driver or take a boat to one. The Chateau de Frères, Castle Frère, is situated along the Meuse River, just a few minutes north of Dinant. There's a good chance you'll see this one if you go on a boat tour. Castle Frère was built in the 14th century and was the house of the Dukes of Beaufort-Spontan. The first cup of coffee drunk in Belgium was at Castle Frère, according to history. Chateau de Annavois Castle, Chateau de Vives, Vives Castle, and Chateau de la Poste are a few other castles worth visiting depending on your time in Dinant. All 3 are within 25 minutes of Dinant, making them excellent places to explore.